Hi, guys. This is Team 7, and we are going to be focusing on the risk factors and symptoms of nutritional anemia. I'm Cheyenne. I'm from Southern California, and I'm a rising junior.
Hi, I'm Leia. I'm a rising senior and I'm from New York.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm a rising junior and I'm from Georgia.
Hi, I'm Amelia. I'm from Maryland and I'm a rising senior.
Hi, I'm Kiera. I am a rising senior and I'm from Maryland.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm from Chicago and I'm a rising junior.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm a rising senior from California.
Okay, so a little bit on the background of nutritional anemia. It's the result of consuming foods with an insufficient amount of vitamins and proteins. Some of these vitamins include vitamin C, B12, folate, and iron, which is one of the most important vitamins when it comes to nutritional anemia. The first case of anemia to be traced back to diet was first discovered in the 1930s. 1.6 billion people around the world are affected by anemia, but in Nigeria alone, over 60% of children under the age of 5 suffer from this disease.
So in many cases, it just so happens that not many people are educated about anemia, and they don't know that they may have it or that people they know may have it. So our group's objective and our goal is basically to help people understand the risks and people who are high at risk for anemia, and also the symptoms of anemia, as well as encourage the audience to take action and to understand things that they have to do to treat it and get help, and also further educate and spread awareness on the topic.
So what are the risk factors of anemia? You may notice we're talking about the risk factors instead of the transmission, and that's because in the case of nutritional anemia, you can't exactly transmit it from somebody else. You can't receive it from somebody else. It's mostly due to diet and some other risk factors that we're going to talk about. So some others include diet, poverty, immunocompromised people. It makes you more susceptible to getting other diseases, or if you have another disease, you are at risk of getting anemia.
Anemia is put into 3 main categories when talking about severity when you take a blood count. Severity ranges from lower than 7 is considered extreme, and you will have to have a blood transfusion. 9 to 11 is considered moderate, and you'll be taking oral iron supplements. And anything greater than 11 is considered normal. The main symptoms of anemia are fatigue, swelling, weakness, tired, faint, fast heart rate, and shortness of breath. And the main visual symptoms are pale skin, yellow eyes, and red undertones.
Okay, so even though the symptoms are very thorough, there are still some challenges with diagnosing anemia. For example, there's cultural and religious norms that need to be met by some patients. For example, some patients might believe, oh, God has disapproval for those who are sick, and oh, God has made me sick on purpose. Or also some religious norms include like having to refuse blood transfusions and other medications that are life-saving. Cultural norms also go into gender equality, like how women have to ask permission usually to leave the house and to go places, which makes them less able to go to hospitals. And there's also socioeconomic factors such as like access to healthcare. For example, if a clinic or a hospital is near your house and easily accessible and also if the costs needed for treatment and whether that can be met by the patient. There's also sometimes difficulties differentiating between anemia and other diseases. For example, some chronic conditions make patients very weak and tired, which is a main factor of anemia. However, those results of that chronic condition do not mean that the patient has anemia. Also, conditions such as osteoporosis and arthritis cause body pains and weakness, but that is caused by those conditions and not necessarily as anemia. There's also limitations in symptom recognition and diagnosis. For example, to keep these tests going and to help diagnose patients, hospitals have to purchase technologies and tests as well as maintain them, which comes with another cost. There's also access to healthcare. Again, like patients have to pay for their treatment, and also they have to live in a place where they're easily accessible to such treatment.
There is many vulnerable groups in Nigeria, such as pregnant women. These are the percentages of the groups that can be affected by anemia. Pregnant women, 57.5%. Non-pregnant women, 55%. And children under 5, 71%. But also there's more groups that are at risk, such as elderly people with underlying conditions, people with disabilities.
The impact on health and society that nutritional anemia has, we divided it up into 3 groups, so socioeconomic, individual, and also public and social. So socioeconomic is like education, level of income, and access to healthcare, like what was mentioned before. And access to nutritious food and healthcare services are limited in lower income countries like Africa, for example. And by teaching individuals like the proper diet and health, education will help them acknowledge and avoid anemia in the future. And it's also essential to have access to hygienic facilities and clean water. For individual, the impact of anemia on it is physical development, like for example, especially in children. Some children that are prenatal, for example, they have cognitive and physical brain developments that aren't properly developed due to anemia because they're not getting the proper nutrients that they need to grow. And public and socially is productivity. So people that struggle with anemia, they're not strong, so they don't have the motivation to really do many things, and it really interferes with their day-to-day life. And yeah.
All right, so the main purpose of our workshop is to educate, but just to educate on anemia is too vague. So what we need to educate more about is answering the questions that people in Bauchi would have. So yeah, we know what anemia is, but what does it look like? How would we know what it feels like? And more importantly, why do you think I should get it? My family isn't sick. No one in my neighborhood is sick. So why should I be sick? And so that's why we tried to make our target audience women of reproductive age, as well as elderly people, and more specifically, elderly women. The reason why we did this is because we want to build up on self-sustainability. So the idea that people in the Bauchi communities help themselves rather than LI helping them. So yes, LI can take Bauchi under their wing, but we can't expect them just to stay there. Bauchi needs to grow their own wings and grow their own pair.
Okay, so our first activity is a coloring poster. So basically during this activity, the facilitator will hold up this poster over there, and it shows the anemia symptoms as well as pictures of different symptoms of the condition. And while they are explaining each symptom, participants will use this coloring sheet to color in each symptom as they're talking about it. This is helpful because it's one thing to just read over some infographic and forget about it later, but this really helps sink in because what the participants are listening to the facilitator talk about the symptoms while they're drawing it and trying to think about how this would feel in their body and how they would identify whether they have these symptoms. Also, this is very beneficial because it's mostly pictures. It's easy for, even if the participants are illiterate, they can still understand by the pictures and color it in. And also there's minimal text. So even the text can be translated to the different languages like Hausa and can be used that way.
So when you think about bringing a community together, what would you first think about? Personally, I would say it's food, but today I'd have to say it's comedy. More people are willing to listen to a comedy skit about anemia rather than sitting in a lecture about anemia. No offense. So what we decided to do was, first of all, create a skit about two pregnant women, and their names are Fatima and Adana. And so they're having a conversation about how they themselves can be at risk of anemia. And so Fatima, the one who's in her second pregnancy, she's teaching Adana how they're still at risk of getting anemia. And so this way, it sets an example of women empowering each other, which is what we want to see in Bauchi. And so this skit, of course, we are just some kids from the US. So we did try to implement some sort of Nigerian lingo. So you can see up there, Shayo de wine me. Wahala be like bicycle. I don't know if you guys know that. This actually my Nigerian friend taught me this. Shayo de wine me. It means why are you teasing me? Why do you keep messing with me? Wahala be like bicycle, that means the problem keeps coming. So of course, we're trying to get more of their culture in. Yeah, okay, so that's what we did. And obviously this is as much as an Indian guy can do about Nigeria. So this, so obviously there's always room for improvement, and we leave that in the hands of the Bauchi community. They obviously know better Nigerian comedy than me. I can only watch up to only like an extent of Nigerian comedy videos to get an understanding. Even now, I still don't understand Nigerian comedy. So that's why if we give people in the Bauchi community an opportunity to express themselves through comedy, while again giving themselves education in anemia, we have a better understanding of the problem. And so, as Dr. Aisha was saying, we should be able to expand our community and our targeted audience, which is from the suggestion by Dr. Angel, sorry. We decided to broadcast these kind of comedy skits on radios. So if you don't know, people in Nigeria, in Nigerian communities, they listen to radios more than television or even social media. So that's why if you have like a nice comedy skit on the radio, we'd be able to broadcast that more to a greater audience. This isn't in my notes, but I was looking at some Nigerian radio stations like Wazobi FM. And then, no joke, it was like 1 a.m. yesterday. No, the first thing I heard was an ad for iron pills. Yeah, so we can see that's already in place in Nigeria, but what makes us different? What can we do better? Here's the thing, we're not selling anything. So you can think, if you ever heard, I don't know if you guys have heard the Mama Too Good commercials for the Indoni, yeah, those ramen noodles. So you can imagine kids would listen to those radio commercials and be like, Mama, can you get me these noodles? Can you get me this food? But obviously they'd have to reject because they don't have the money for that. So how about instead we show them how their mom can cook their own food? Mama, can I get some oranges? And stuff like that. So this is why we're going to create some nice tunes, some jingles, some songs on the radio stations and broadcast that all over Nigeria. Oh, wait. There's probably something else. Oh yeah, all right.
Okay, so our budget to spend it $500. We're using that to buy 2,000 sheets of copy paper. Where for $20, 200 color pencils. For $10, we're renting out tables, chairs, and tents for a total of $100.
So for our broadcasting expenses, we do need an audio engineer, a studio session, as well as an advert placement. So this would roughly go around $15 to $30, depending on how long it takes for the actors to develop or to finalize that. And as for advert placement, that goes for $25. And so we only really need like 30 seconds of advertising, which is, you can say, the time it takes you to walk around the lecture hall. And yeah, so one thing to note is if we do go into this, many merchants or many people who are selling these services will increase their prices if they know like the influence that you have. So say you bring in some famous comedians into your ad placements, they charge more. So I just want to make sure you guys keep that in mind. And then here are our handouts.
So this is an example of some of the posters we might put up at mosque because we think that there will be a lot of women there, so they'll get awareness. And then we were also thinking about putting it up at schools because they don't have to necessarily be pregnant, but they're at the reproductive age. So we're thinking high schools or maybe middle schools, but mainly targeting high schools because that's where they really are in the reproductive age. Oh, and we're going to order 500 of each. These are our resources. Thank you.
Again, another wonderful presentation, quite brilliant. Are you sure you're not Nigerian? Because I can't do it any better. I'm not sure. Yeah, that was very nice. And you really take it home. My only question has been addressed by you. Lastly, is the issue of vulnerable groups. You need to clearly capture adolescents, especially adolescent girls. Even from the lectures, you remember we discuss issues around them. And you say women in the reproductive age group. So they have to come around because they have nutritional anemia because of behavioral and some other physiologic reasons. I truly love this kit. Well done, guys. Yeah.
Good job, guys. Everything was really good. I would say your presentation was good. I liked how you kind of discussed with each other. My main problem was I feel like you were not completely focused on the risk factor. Sometimes it kind of seemed like you were talking about treatment. And I know that with anemia is complicated to clearly divide everything because risk factor is also like prevention, which could also be like treatment. Because like you can't really talk about food when food is actually also the treatment. I get how it's difficult to play the dance. So in that case, when it comes to like all of your workshop stuff and your script was hilarious just by reading it already. So good job. But make sure that what you're talking about is risk factors and symptoms. Try very hard not to go too in depth about treatment because that wasn't your group work. But apart from that, I would say really good job. You kind of hit like all that you were supposed to do. I like the coloring book idea as well, because you're right. If you're just coming to a lecture and you're not like, using both, like, listening, maybe I should try that next week for my different group. Like they should color every single slide I make so they have to listen. I'm going to do that. That's smart because that way you do have a more engaged audience. So good job. You should feel really good about yourselves and well done to make it to Friday. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They have already mentioned most of the areas I wanted to talk about. However, for your budget and your advert, I just wanted to ask, how long do you want to run the advert for? Do you just want to run it one time and that's it? Yeah, because on the budget, is it the budget constraint or what was the issue? Because from what can you just go back a little bit to the budget? Here, advert placement, 30 seconds, $25. So, can you go forward, not backward? Next one, budget. So, okay, these are just color pencils. So I was just wondering, how much of your budget will go to advert, because advert is one of your major activity, which it is a wonderful one. So I'm actually asking because it's something that you guys nailed so hard. Okay. So you took it home. You made it realistic. I mean, he even Googled Wazobia FM, you know, so yes, so yes. So I really want to know, because now I'm actualizing it. Okay. So from this budget, how long would you want to run this advert for? I don't know.
You don't have to have the answers now.
Yeah.
The point is that run it long enough to make it. So think about that when you're drawing up the budget and see how you're playing around that. You might even try to advocate towards radio stations, potentially pay for free, because the public health service has announcement. Is it at the Ministry of Health? Is it at LI? Point is that it can't just be like the place today and that's the end. It has to be a continuous thing.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You guys should be proud. You guys should celebrate at the party today. It was a wonderful, wonderful job. Congratulations, guys.